Hi there, and welcome to this video on Emmet today. My name is Justin Bansel. Emmet's a plugin that's built in right through the editor. So the editor I'm working with is Visual Studio Code, and it's basically bundled with a number of snippets that make development a lot faster, especially with HTML. Um, to get started, I have an index.html file open, and normally you start with a doc type declaration. So actually I have it already here. I'm going to just remove this. Using just the exclamation point and then hitting tab, you're able to get the doc type declaration, the HTML element, the head tag, and the body tag. So this is obviously important, probably the first step to starting a project. And with one short command, you're able to get all of this in a snap. So that's awesome, but there's more. You can actually get elements and their tags and everything associated with them also super quick. So if I'm starting the project and I might start with a header and I might want to use the header semantic element, instead of having to write header and then maybe specify the class, I want to have this be my header and then I'll close it. Instead of having to do that, you can just type header. You can, like you're writing a CSS rule to target a header element, with a class of header, what you would do is use dot header. Now when I hit tab, I get the same thing, and it's a lot faster. If I want to add multiple classes right from the beginning, I can say header, header main, header main sticky, and there you go. I've got three different elements there as an example. This is probably the most common use case for me on the job, just adding like class names, adding the markup for the element names. So if I've got an image, hitting image, you get that. For form elements, it's already specified. The nice thing is the cursor's already flashing within the attributes for you to fill out. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. So section, right, footer. What's great is you might have a lot of divs. You don't have to specify div each time. You can actually just type in the name of the class. So if I say gallery, Emmet knows that div is kind of like the popular choice. It's like the default. So it starts you off with div. If you want to have a more specific element name, you'd have to specify that first. So section, then gallery. So that's the way you specify class names, multiple class names, but you can also do things like ID. So maybe you want to give it an ID and you're going to use the same symbols that you kind of would use with CSS rules. So here I want this to be my main gallery, and I hit tab and there you go. So it's really great for writing out HTML elements really fast, adding in class names and IDs. Apart from that, there are a few other use cases. So if we had a header element like I had before, and I want to have H1, just like the other elements, you type in H1, hit tab, you've got your heading. So I might have Emmet is fun here, and then I might start building out a nav. So to build out a nav, I might have a UL element. I'll give it a class of nav. But then there's a lot more to it because you want to have LI elements as well as A tags. So to do all of that in a kind of quick way, Emmet allows you to use child selectors and also multiplication. So we're going to start off with the UL, give it a class of nav like we specified before. Then we're going to use the greater than symbol to say that we want to specify a child that's part of this unordered list. So the child is going to be an li item. I'm going to give this one also a class. So I'm going to give it a class of nav item. But I also want to know a number for each li item because I'm going to have more than one, and I might want to target one of them specifically. So it's kind of like an ID, a unique numbering that Emmet provides you with using just the $ symbol. So from li.nav item, I might also add another class to say nav item there. And that's going to give me a number that I can use later on. And then from there, we're not done because I want to have some more. I want to have like an anchor tag nested within this li. So again, to create a child, we're going to have the greater than symbol there, and we're going to specify an a tag. So that's basically it for what we want. If we knew other information we wanted to add, like a class or something, we could probably specify that now. But ultimately, we want to just make sure that we're able to output more than one here. So I want three of them. So with the star symbol or the asterisk, we're able to use multiplication and say that we want three of these list items to appear. But what you're seeing right now in the preview is that we're actually going to get three anchor tags. And that's because based on the order of operations and going back to BEDMAS, the rule here is we're actually kind of fixated on the anchor tag. And what we need to do is go one level up using the caret symbol, and that's actually where we want to um, do the multiplication. So it's really around this part of the rule. So you're able to add these brackets so that Emmet knows what you're doing, and then if we add that back in, we're going to get the nav that we were looking for. So that's pretty awesome. Just by writing that line, we're able to get the parent element. So for the nav, then we get a number of list items. We got the class. We got unique numbering. We got the anchor tags. All Emmet knows that an anchor tag needs the href, so we've also got that. Aside from that, what we can do is, let's say we were building a gallery. I might have section.gallery, and then depending on what you're building, you might start off with the first image and try to figure out, okay, what do I need here? I can easily have an image tag, and I'm gonna have to write like my path to the image, and I just added like an example image there. You can see here within my images folder, just as an example, but we're gonna have the source. We might want to have a class here, image, but we also might want a container. So we might actually want an image wrapper within which this lives. So we might want that, and that's basically going to be our markup. But for galleries, normally you might have 10 of these or 13, 14 of these. So how would you go about doing that instead of typing it all manually? So let's start off. I'm going to start with the image wrapper div. We know that Emmet's going to give us a div. We don't have to specify div. And then we want to create an image child. And to create attributes, you just need to use the square brackets. So just like that. And we can say source equals, and the path is going to be the same for all the images except for the number. But we know we can use the $ symbol to get the unique number. So using that, and then the same file name, we're able to specify that. I'm going to also give it a class of image. And then I want to grab 10 of these actually. So I'm going to do the same grouping like before. Oops. And before I do the grouping, I want to make sure I go one level up because right now I went into the child level. So I want to go back up to image wrapper level, add the multiplication there, and there you go. So I'm just going to wrap this, and there you can see we've got image wrapper divs for each of our images. The paths also clearly written out there. Images, image 1 for all the different images. We've got the class name on each of them. So this makes building out like a large gallery really easy instead of having to type it out manually. And the last example I'm going to go with is just in case you wanted to write text inside of the elements while you're building them out with Emmet. So let's say you wanted to have 5 boxes, each with a class of box, and you also wanted to put in some text there. So not really an example that for on the job, but just to kind of show you that you do have capability to use the curly braces to enter text at the same time. So I got dot box, um, and I'm going to use curly braces to say this is box number, and then I put the $sign there, and then I'm going to use multiplication to say 5 boxes. There you go. So again, I got a number of elements and I'm able to add text through them. So pretty sweet. Um, Aside from that, there are other selectors that you could use. Another one is the sibling selector. So um, if we were building out the layout for the page and we wanted to start and we've got the header and we know that we're going to have a section with a class of gallery, and then we're going to have another main semantic element I'm using there, and then the footer. You can write that all out, and it spits out the header, all these elements side by side instead of children. So that's the video on Emmet. Thanks so much for watching.